Now first tonight, cracking down on the Countylines gangs who groom children into moving drugs. Almost 100 people have been arrested in police raids across the East Midlands. They've seized guns and knives, and one force says that children as young as 11 have been recruited. Well, our social affairs correspondent Jeremy Ball is here. Jeremy, good evening to you. I mean, this really was a huge operation, wasn't it?
Yes, Anne, and this is all about stopping violent city drugs gangs who've expanded their businesses into smaller county towns. Now, the police have told us that 70 county lines have now been identified across the East Midlands. Each of them sells drugs using a dedicated mobile number. So what about that week-long crackdown? Well, here's where a lot of those arrests took place. It's not just the cities, it's also towns like Wirksworth, Newark and Market Harborough. 9 people were arrested in Loughborough. And I've been out to Melton Mowbray. A bustling market town renowned for its traditional food, pork pies and Stilton cheese. But now there's another product bringing visitors to Melton Mowbray: illegal drugs.
There is definitely a problem.
Are people dealing and stuff, yeah? And you wouldn't think living in such a small town like this.
It's a disgusting smell, especially in certain areas. Yeah, you keep out of them.
It has surprised me how things have got quite a bit worse. It's just concerning when you're seeing it in broad daylight.
This is how the police are responding.
Move away from the door!
We're out with an enforcement team on the Fairmead estate. They're raiding 4 different flats this morning. Outside, it reeks of cannabis. It's only 7 a.m.
Some people that live on the estate that have lived here years and years are just getting fed up with people that come to the properties and then have other people in the property that come in and going at various times in the night. They're telling us that there are flats that have been taken over by various people from out of Melton Mowbray. They're using it as what we call a trap house. People coming from all different areas, drug users using the property, needles being left around. It's just something that they're not prepared to tolerate.
The kinds of research that I'm looking for drugs.
This man's been stopped. He's handed over some syringes, but officers don't find anything illegal. Nearby, another man's arrested on suspicion of dealing cocaine and heroin. But they're looking for victims too, addicts whose homes have been taken over by drug gangs from out of town, or children who've been pressured into moving here as dealers.
I'm holding drugs for a bloke out there.
So now the police are warning parents and families not to ignore the warning signs.
That's nice, love.
Leicestershire Police have produced this video, and hundreds of teachers and youth workers have taken part in online workshops.
Are you listening?
They're vulnerable children. They will be given a place to go. They won't live in the area that they're going to deliver the drugs. We have seen kids as young as 11 and 12, but our average age is anything between 13 and 15 years old. We've had people that have been newly housed. People are coming in and out. They've got no control. They're probably in one area, if it's a flat, and everybody else is just completely taken over.
95 people across the East Midlands have been arrested in the week-long Countylines crackdown, and the police say 50 vulnerable children and adults have been protected as a result.
Jeremy, what do we know then about these people that they describe as vulnerable?
Well, essentially we're talking here about people who've been groomed into helping these gangs, and some interesting examples. One addict in Derby has now been referred as a victim of modern slavery. The police say his house was taken over by a Countylines gang. In Newark, they stopped a teenager carrying crack and heroin. He just got off a bus. He was on his way to one of these crack houses. And they say out of these people identified as vulnerable, 31 of them were children. A lot of them will have gone missing. A lot of them will have been threatened. And now what they're going to try and do is encourage them to get help.
I mean, it was pretty dramatic footage of the raids. Once they got inside the houses, what sort of things were they finding?
You won't be surprised to hear they found a lot of drugs. They found a lot of cash. Now, this is cash that's being treated by the police as proceeds of crime. In Derbyshire, they actually seized designer clothes worth £10,000. They seized 2 handguns in Derbyshire as well. They also went to 20 properties which gangs had taken over, they say. Across the rest of the East Midlands, dozens of knives seized. And a novel idea in Nottinghamshire after they seized a drug dealer's phone. What they did is they texted all his contacts, his customers, not to say they were in trouble, but to offer them help, support with tackling their addiction.
At least that's some positive. Thank you very much indeed, Jeremy, for that.